Tonight, months after winter storms devastated Plum Island, residents get approval to rebuild homes on sand. Plus, Whitey Bulger's former sidekick says he saw Whitey commit murder. And
we make something happen that couldn't happen anywhere else.
A museum space for art on a grand scale. Jared Bowen kicks off a week of arts in the Brookshires at Mass MoCA. That's now on Greater Boston. Good evening. To build or not to rebuild, that was the question for several Plum Island homeowners who lost their homes from a series of devastating storms this winter. 2 homeowners got the green light to rebuild, raising questions over the wisdom of building a house on shifting sands. Months after harsh winds and beating waves destroyed half a dozen homes on Plum Island, some homeowners just got the green light to rebuild. The barrier island was battered by Superstorm Sandy in October, a blizzard in February, and back-to-back ocean storms in March that toppled 2 homes and forced another 6 to be demolished. But despite the constant threat of beach erosion and strict government regulations banning protective rock wall barricades like these, at least 3 homeowners filed applications to begin construction, and now the state has approved 2 of those applications. The third was rejected for failing to comply with environmental regulations, but that homeowner says he'll do what it takes to break ground on a new home where his old one once stood. And with me now are State Senator Bruce Tarr, Newbury Building Commissioner Sam Joslin, and Plum Island homeowner Les Jones. Welcome to all of you.
Hello.
Well, I want to start with you because you've been really a central part of this whole issue for, 15, 20 years, as long as you've had a home up there. I want to start with showing a picture in 1991 of your home. And if you can just describe what was going on there, because it looks like at that time your house is quite far back from the actual shoreline, and that looks like a plowed dune there, is it?
Yes, that is.
And what was the point of it?
Well, that was to help build a dune. And that was probably done in, I would say, 1997, somewhere in there.
And was it proactive against a storm, or did it come in after a storm?
Yes, it was
and did it work?
Oh, yes, right.
It did work?
Yeah, well, we did a larger dune there, as you could see in that photograph, that in 1978, we had a real good storm, as everybody knows.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and that got damaged. So, and what we did from that time on, well, when I was there anyways, we maintained the dune. So when we had a severe storm, we would try to put it back.
All right, I want to show your house now. Go ahead. What is going on there?
It's severe erosion, that's what that is.
And how long did it take to erode that far?
That took a winter.
Just one winter, this past winter?
Yes.
And have you gotten a permit to rebuild?
Yes, I'm back in.
And are you going to move the house back further, or can you?
I really can't. There's no room for me to move back.
All right, I'm going to ask these gentlemen then how this is going to work. I'm going to start with you, Sam. How is this going to work? I mean, I sympathize with you, Les. If it was my home, I want to do the same thing. So, and I'd be applying to you for permit. What does Les has to say to you to convince you to give him an application? What is he looking for?
The problem is, and with the problem with a lot of the homes on Plum Island, is the lots are so small that there's nowhere to move the house to while you're putting it on piles. Les is a very large, I don't want to say it's a large home, but kind of a sprawling design that makes it very difficult to lift up and put piles under.
Is that what he has to do?
In order to protect it long term, yeah, that's really the only way to protect it. Putting sand in front of it, even rocks or hard structure, really isn't going to bring it to, beyond whichever storm event might impact it. But really, piles are the way to go. We saw that with a house on Annapolis that lost homes on either side of it. It was done 2007, and it sustained minimum damages being built to today's coastal standards. So really, to take these older homes and put them on piles or relocate them further west away from the ocean is the best solution, but not always practical.
And he can't do it because he doesn't own the lot behind him.
Exactly.
All right, so Bruce, why not let people do whatever they can? I mean, why can't they move sand from the ocean to front of the house? I mean, nature's going to take care of itself anyway. Why can't they put up concrete barriers? Why can't they do whatever they want?
Well, because we want to make sure that people do things that don't actually make the situation worse. And that's why we've been very careful on Plum Island, even though we've been doing some things that aren't usually permitted, to do those things in a way that actually contribute positively rather than negatively. And I'll give you an example, Emily. One of the problems with a hard structure is it often creates reflected wave energy on either end of it. So if your house is on one side of me and Sam's is on the other, and I put a hard structure in the middle, I may be protecting my home, but I'll be imperiling yours. So we've been very careful to try to do things that actually make sense. And in some ways on Plum Island, we've been innovating things. The use of geotubes was really innovated on Plum Island and got us good protection for 2 years. Those are large tubes that are filled with sand as opposed to sandbags. So we've been doing a number of things and really, I think, have been on the cutting edge of protecting homes. But as the situation with Les's home proved, is you can have a situation in a very short period of time that you didn't expect, that you couldn't plan for, that has catastrophic results.
All right, going back to my question, Sam, if I'm going to apply to have my home, what do I have to prove to you environmentally and structurally and every other thing that I'm going to do so it's going to be good for everybody else and safe for me and maybe even last several decades?
Yep. It depends on the project. New homes, there's coastal construction standards. There's wetland regulations to comply with. The homes that were lost, I think all of them will eventually get permits to rebuild. Yep, absolutely. And I think it would be a shame to, if anything were to change that, but it looks like we're state and local authorities are moving in the same direction and going to get these folks their permits so that they can rebuild if that's what they choose to do.
So Les, is this all on your dime? Do you have insurance?
Yes.
Or there's some federal money? What's the story?
No, I haven't collected any insurance.
Why not?
They don't cover decks. That's
Decks?
Decks.
That looked more like a deck. Let's put that picture up again. It looked like something beyond a deck.
Well, it's a deck. And I cut the deck.
Just the deck? The house is hanging over the edge there.
No, that's a deck. I cut the deck prior to the storm.
You cut it off?
I cut it
and
left it there, and then when the storm came, it took it.
Oh.
It takes it out to sea. That's basically.
And that worked for you?
It worked. That's what you see right
So
there.
you knew that was going to happen? You knew the house was in
Yes, I
trouble.
did.
And do you think you saved the house by doing that?
I think so.
We've had a number of homeowners that have had to sacrifice portions of the homes in order to save the structure.
Are you prepared to raise it up and do whatever you have to do?
I'm pretty high there. I'm probably one of the second highest on the island. If I put piles in and it gets eroded again, and now I have a structural swaying type of problem, issue. So my house isn't really slated to put piles underneath it at this time.
Yeah, certain homes are certainly more, I guess, sized appropriately to elevate.
What about federal money in all of this, Bruce? Does nobody qualify? I mean, these people, they own their home. I know there are a lot of people who are not sympathetic because they built on sand and all that, but it's still their home. They bought it. I mean, there's a constitutional protection, to defend their property. I mean, can they get some kind of...
Well, let me make a couple of quick points. Number one, when we start deciding whose home gets to be saved and whose doesn't, we go down a very dangerous path. So we should be protecting folks' homes. That should be the goal. Number two, it's a very individualized situation. Some people have larger lots. Some people can put down pilings. Some people can't. But the reason that Sam can be so optimistic, I think, is because we're working together collaboratively. And in order to do these things, you have to get Wetlands Protection Act protection, of essentially approval to protect the environment, and you have to get building approval to make sure the building is sound and meets the current code, which oftentimes involves putting something on pilings or moving it back. And in response to your question, there is national flood insurance, and as Les points out, it's very difficult sometimes to collect on that flood insurance, but that's what a lot of the folks can get.
It doesn't cover floods, basically.
Well, it depends on the circumstances that caused your home to be compromised, and it's very facts and case specific. However, we're also working as a community to make folks eligible for federal assistance to prevent further harm, and that kind of hazard mitigation funding can help to pay for putting your house up on pilings or moving it back from the ocean. But again, it's a very case-by-case basis kind of a situation.
What if somebody like Les wanted to just bail and said, all right, the state or the feds take the house? Could he be reimbursed? Because any other family coming along is going to say, I'm not going to get involved in this.
Well, again, in the name of hazard mitigation, there are federal funds available to be able to purchase a home and take it out of harm's way so that it won't cost anything more to government in terms of an emergency response. Again, we're working on that collaboratively. The town has an umbrella effort underway, and individual homeowners have to try to fit into that umbrella
Would you
effort.
consider that?
I did. I'm on the list
To bail?
to bail.
It's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
but you would consider it.
I would consider it. That is an option for me.
And then if less bailed, no one else would build there, would they? That would just become...
With the acquisition grants that would pay for that, it would have a restriction placed on the lot so that it would no longer be a buildable lot.
So that the house would come down and it would just be state-owned property.
Yeah, and there's problems with that because it actually becomes a town-owned piece of land, and then the town has the responsibility of now protecting that dune face. And this has to go to town meeting for a vote, and the likelihood that the taxpayers want to assume a liability, I don't know if I'd vote for
Another
it.
place to go look at the ocean. All right, well, good luck with your decision. All right, Les, thanks so much for coming. Sam Joplin. Bruce Tarr, as always.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.